When I was younger, I was a nervous wreck. My hands were sweaty, my heart rate was high, and I would stutter upon my words with a high-pitched voice. To be honest, I still get nervous whenever I meet someone new or when I give a public presentation, but I found methods that help me mitigate the nervousness. If you're someone who's trying to make new friends, get that girl's number or ask her out, or at least become better at speaking, here are the 4 steps you can take to become less nervous. The first step, which is pretty basic, is to incorporate a breathing technique. Before a race or before a big event like a presentation, I like to do a couple breathing techniques. You may have heard of these techniques, but let me show you. The first one that I do is that I breathe in, I tense up all my muscles, and then I breathe out. So let me show you. Tense, out. The whole point is for you to inhale for a couple seconds, hold it for a couple seconds while you tense up all your muscles, and then exhale, relaxing your muscles. So when you do that exhale, after that big tension, it's kind of like you relaxing your muscles to where you're more present and you're more relaxed in the situation. The next technique, which I like to do to get more energy or at least have more adrenaline in my system, especially for a race, because adrenaline can help you with the race, it's when I breathe in, hold, and then breathe in a little more, and then exhale. So what you do is you do this. And like I said, this gets my adrenaline going. So whenever I do a jump or whenever I start my race, I do this so I get more energy. Because when you're just standing at the line waiting for the officials or you're waiting for other people to get to their blocks, you kind of just lose this energy. You're just standing there. You feel a little tense and you start to get a little tight in your muscles. We start to like bounce around just to get your muscles more warmed up. So when you're able to have this more adrenaline or able to breathe in a lot more to get more energy, you feel more energized where you're like, yes, I'm ready to attack again. And I can perform really well because I have this energy that I can use to focus and execute my race. So I feel either more energetic or I feel more calm, where I start to focus on slowing down. Which leads to the second point of you have to slow down. Calm yourself down, breathe, and be present in the moment. When I'm nervous, I tend to speak faster and faster. When I'm nervous, I tend to rush things, like the way I speak. The faster I speak, the more nervous I get, which makes me speak faster and faster. Then I stutter and speak with a high tone, which is pretty unattractive. When I feel this overwhelming energy, I have to remind myself that I need to slow down. That means I need to focus on speaking slower, enunciating my words, and speaking with a lower tone. Even when I have to walk up to someone, I have to walk slower. Being fast with everything just makes you more nervous because you're doing things faster and faster, which makes you more nervous and nervous. That's why you need to slow down your words so you feel less nervous, you feel less pressure, but also so you sound more confident than nervous. The third method is that you have to turn nervousness to excitement. You feel this high energy in your body. You may think it's nervousness, which makes you act nervous or do the nervous tendencies that you like to do. When I used to play basketball, I always felt nervous, or I thought I was nervous whenever I stepped on the court and started the game. But when the game started, I felt so much energy in my system where I was able to sprint back and forth and being uncontrollable with the ball. And that's when I realized I was excited more than nervous. Sure, I was nervous of the judgment of messing up or looking like a fool on the court, but every time I started playing the game, I felt excited with high energy. Now, anytime I feel nervous before a presentation or a race, I like to reframe the situation. I like to say, I am excited, not nervous. That means I'm looking forward to performing instead of being scared doing it. It's a positive outlook than a negative one. A lot of us like to villainize the nervousness that we feel. For example, I have a presentation to do, and when I practice a lot and I present, I feel hella nervous. But then I'm like, wait, I'm excited to do this. I prepared enough where I know a lot of the content already on the presentation, where I'm prepared, which is part of the next point, but I know that I'm ready. I know I'm prepared enough for me to perform well. And when I execute, it'll be fun. And guess what? Once you do the presentation, nothing bad really happened. It was an anticlimactic experience. And I asked myself, why was I scared or nervous to do this? That's why you have to do this last step, which is practice. In order to mitigate luck and doubt, you have to practice. I remember back when I was younger, I wouldn't practice my presentations because I thought I had all the knowledge in my head. I spent all this time making these presentations, I wrote the slides, so inherently I thought I knew what was on the slides already, so I didn't have to practice it. But when I had to go in front of the class, my mind would go blank. I would say or and I would talk fast or I would have unstructured sentences. But a cheat code that I found was that you have to practice a lot. Especially for me, because I knew my talking skills weren't that great. In general, when you practice, you become more confident in what you do. It's like when you ride a bike for the first time. You lack confidence because you have never done it before, and you're nervous about it because you don't have the experience of doing it. The more you do it, the better you get, and the more confidence that you have. Without the reps, you'll feel nervous and unconfident in your ability to execute. You have to do repetitions. For my internship last summer, I had to prepare a final presentation for high managers and highly technical people. And when I was working, I was done early with my work. So I had a lot of time, a couple of weeks to prepare for my presentation. So I knew my speaking abilities weren't that great, so I knew I had to practice a lot. So I spent the whole week practicing by myself and then incorporating a few people from the team to help me give me feedback, but also to experience being in front of a crowd. And while I was practicing, I probably practiced around 20 times before I actually did the presentation. And when I presented, it honestly went well. I didn't feel nervous at all. Well, until someone asked a highly technical question, which I didn't really know the answer to because it was highly technical. And I only spent around 3 months there, so it was really hard for me to answer that. But in general, for me to deliver the presentation, it wasn't nerve-wracking at all. So, practice. Fix your mistakes. And practice again. You have to practice, even when you have to talk to women. Back then, I know I was scared to approach that attractive girl to get her number or at least ask her out. But it gets easier and easier the more you do it. And if you're scared of the rejection or you're nervous of getting rejected, you could try to get a part-time job around your area. What I did in one of the summers when I was here, I walked around different businesses looking for a part-time job because I needed it. And each place I went to, they rejected me. And although it wasn't a great result, I honestly got used to that rejection. So, when you feel nervous, reframe it to excitement. Take a deep breath, be slow, and practice a crap ton. I appreciate you, bro. Remember to subscribe for more content like this. And if you haven't seen last week's video, I'll put it up right here. Remember to go improve it.